And hello once again, everyone. It's time for another edition of the NYVTmedia Sports Show. I'm your host, Keith Harrington. And don't forget, everybody, we'd like to thank our fine sponsor for the NYVTmedia Sports Show, and that is Greenwich Ford, located at the traffic circle at the intersection of Routes 40 and 29 in Greenwich, New York. Make the switch to Greenwich with Greenwich Ford. We thank them very much for continuing their sponsorship of our show. And joining me today from Granville Sports, Granville Softball, Granville Field Hockey is Lauren Bascom. Lauren, we've been talking about this for a while. Thanks for taking the time out to join me today.
Thank you for having me.
And, first we're going to start talking some softball here because I know that's kind of your main baby, as you might want to say. Yeah. So I always like to start things off with a little bit of a story. So your grandfather, Bob, who's been friends with me forever, Bob Pa,
yep.
he'll probably know this story. But Carol Harrington, my uncle, used to say when he coached Little League Baseball, if he asked who wanted to pitch, if he had 20 kids on the team, 20 kids raised their hand. Everybody wants to be a pitcher. But somehow you've been able to continue through. So why a pitcher? What made you decide to become a pitcher?
I never really decided. It kind of just came. There's kind of a story behind how I started. I was in Little League and they were trying to figure out if 10U pitchers could start throwing underhand to the opposing team. And so Brian Jennings actually came out to my mom and was like, go out in the yard and see if she can throw some. So I threw 10 and 8 of them were about strikes and then kind of just went from there.
Right. So yeah. You kind of got bitten by the pitching bug kind of bit you, right?
Yep.
So you've been training for a long time. I know your grandfather was talking about you when they came home to visit, going to your games all the time.
Yep.
Now you work with Jamie Culligan, who formerly Jamie Graves, for anybody who used to follow Fort Ann softball. What do you have to say about her as your pitching coach? How much of an influence has she been?
Huge. I mean, if I didn't have her, I probably wouldn't be where I'm at right now. And I mean, she's helped me with everything I've had, techniques, mechanics. From the beginning, it's been her.
And Haley Barber, of course, has been your main catcher. How much of a connection do you guys have? How big is that to have a friend who's your catcher as well?
I think just having her from the beginning, when we both started in 3rd grade, getting that connection, I think, and having it stick up to varsity level and just keep going strong, I think helps both of us out.
Now, you play travel ball in the off season, the Glens Falls Titans. You've been with them for a while.
Yep.
How important is it for the young players out there, is it to play travel ball?
I mean, it's such a different experience compared to high school, and you get to meet so many other people from so many other schools, and you get to travel different places. I mean, I've been pretty much a lot of places this past couple of years, and I think it's just a good experience to start young.
Yeah, I know one year, a couple of years ago maybe, it's when COVID was first getting going, or maybe you were just starting to get back to playing after COVID, sitting in my gazebo and watching your games. You were out in Ohio or somewhere like that.
Yeah, we've been Ohio, Maryland. We just were in Connecticut a couple weeks ago, and we have a couple more this past weekend, and then we're getting going. So
when you play that kind of competition, I know I used to have a travel ball team called the Vermont Lady Cats, and a lot of times, quite honestly, we got smoked a lot of times, folks. We were taking on this big-time competition. But do you find that when you come back and play the competition at home, it makes your job a little bit easier because you've played such high competition?
It's definitely an adjustment from school to travel. I think it's just because you see so many different people from so many different states. It's so competitive the more you go out. And from here, I think it's so different.
Yeah, sometimes my team, we got beat up pretty good sometimes, but then we came back home and won a state championship. So yeah. I always said that the reason we won that state championship way back in 2003 is that we played that competition during the off season. Yep. And the competition didn't look as, people that were like, ooh, she's pretty scary as a pitcher or whatever, all of a sudden didn't look so scary after going out and playing these people from all over the country.
Yeah, I also think it's nice that on our team we also have girls that are also playing travel. So Haley is on Titans, Reagan Swain, Melissa Beaver, they joined Titans this past time, and then Megan Hover's on another travel team. So I think it's good we have all of us different areas and then able to come together and play as one.
Right, exactly. So you guys had a pretty good season during the high school season this year.
Yeah.
You went around about 500 ball. The league is tough. I mean, Whitehall obviously very, very good. Lake George, it's a tough league you guys play. And Warrensburg was an improved team this year.
Very much so. I think those are the most competitive teams we've had to play, and I think having that competition makes us better as a team, and seeing those teams and being able to prepare ourselves for the games moving forward. So I think we know what to expect, which I think is a good thing. And I think just working hard, practicing, being able to go out and play decent softball.
Yeah, we had Lexi Nassavera, the Argyle coach, on a couple of weeks ago here on the show, and there's an example of how good the Adirondack League is. Argyle was like 2-6 at one point during the season, below 500, struggling. They end up in the state Final Four for Class D, so that shows a lot, I think, about the Adirondack League.
Yeah, it shows how just things can change in a matter of seconds once you start playing those teams they don't normally see.
So next year, obviously, you want to try to finish up higher in the Adirondack League.
Yes.
Whitehall's not going anyplace. Lake George isn't going anyplace. I don't know how many seniors Warrensburg had. I think they were pretty young.
Yeah.
How do you guys take that next step in the Adirondack League, do you think?
I think just preparing ourselves for those games more, because we do know what to expect, because we've seen those teams for years now. I mean, this will be my 3rd year in varsity, so I know what to expect going up, pitching against those batters, so I think that will help us.
Good, good. And they're still going to have Shannon at Lake George, and Maddie's still going to be there at Whitehall.
Yep.
So, you know, you're going to have to put runs on the board against those guys, because they're not going to give up a lot, right?
No.
So that's going to be a big part of it, I think, too, is going out and knowing you can put runs up against those top pitchers.
Yeah.
So moving on to field hockey a little bit. So the field hockey program has had tremendous success. I've been following you guys a lot. You and Hoosick Falls have kind of become the elite of the Wasser and Adirondack League, right?
Yeah. I think I'll always remember the game, it was in Fort Ann at Golden Goal. We were playing in the snow in April, I'm pretty sure is when that was, and we went into overtime, 0-0 all 4 quarters, and then I think it was Haley Corlew who scored the winning goal overtime. So they always have competition. It's always a 2-1, 3-2, overtime most of the time. But yeah, it's fun.
Right, and then the game that you played here at home against them last year was a high-scoring shootout.
Yes, that was.
I can't remember if it was a 4-3 maybe or something to that. It was a high-scoring game, so it was really unusual, because you two usually are in these 0-0 overtime games. And all of a sudden you were in this shootout. I remember Jason Rathman was at work and he was texting me, "What's the score?" Seems like I was messaging him about every 2 or 3 minutes somebody was scoring.
Yeah, I mean, I think we started off first with a couple goals, and then they came back and got a couple. I think it was 3-3 going into overtime, and then they came out on the other side good. So it is what it is.
You mentioned Riley Rink, so you guys play there in the off season.
Yes.
How's that help you?
That's a great experience, I feel like, because playing on the turf, it's so much quicker. You get to see different people, like BBA and all those Vermont teams you won't normally see, which is great competition for us. But I mean, we went undefeated in Riley Rink, which was good.
And Hoosick Falls is at that, right?
Yes.
And Burn Burton, you mentioned BBA, Burn Burton Academy out of Manchester. Yes. Very good. Very good field hockey program.
Yep. So that's some challenging teams, but I think we came out as a good team together and made a name for ourselves.
Definitely. But you guys should have quite a few coming back this fall for field hockey, right? You had a pretty young team last year.
We did. We should have, I think there's going to be about 8 juniors we should have, and there's a lot of we should have about like 8 seniors, and we're going to have like 13 juniors, so we'll have a big team.
Yeah, there must be something about, I don't know, something in the water or what with that year of kids being born that are
2024 is
juniors.
big.
Yeah, because Whitehall, 8 juniors on their softball team. When I've talked with we talked with Blake Bird a couple of weeks ago, and she was saying, we have 8 juniors. Now you're saying you've got a large group of juniors.
Like 13,
and they play all sports.
Yeah,
they're
all are. Yep.
Multiple sport athletes.
Yeah.
I don't know, it must be something that was in the water in this area that year that good athletes got it produced or something. I don't know, because both the local schools, big time junior classes. So college right around the corner, not all that far around the corner for you as you're going into your junior year. What kind of goals do you have for the future? Any aspirations playing either sport in college?
I think definitely an education is going to come first, but if I do have the opportunity to play either field hockey or softball, I definitely will take that. But I'm so unsure right now because I don't know what I'm doing moving forward, so I guess it's just going to see what these next 2 years are.
Yeah, well, trust me, my son just finished his junior year and is going into his senior year, so you're going to find out here pretty quick. Now, he's funny because he only does cross country, and I thought, no way he's ever going to play in college, run cross country in college. He's always been all about the education, just like you were saying. All of a sudden, he pops out of nowhere the other day. I think I might want to run cross country in college, So it's funny how your approach to things change as you get closer and it starts to become serious. And but obviously you've put in the work over the years, so I would think maybe softball would be maybe a goal of yours in college.
Yeah. I mean, I love field hockey too. I think as I've gotten older, field hockey and softball have become closer, but I definitely think softball's up there.
So, we always talk about your softball pitching.
Yes.
But I happen to see on, I'm a sports nut, so I'm always paying attention to sports stuff, right? You don't do this job well without paying attention to the athletes all the time. You had a big grand slam the other day. You want to tell us about that?
So we were playing a team we normally have competition against, and it's Sunday, so we go in and play till you lose. So it was a big game for the first time. It was bases loaded, 2 outs, and I went up and I was like, all right, Lauren, come on. And so I had a 2-2 count, and I was fouling off, and then I just hit it and it went over.
Yeah, was that your first grand slam?
Yes. Over the fence, yeah.
Yeah, the first base coach over there, he was excited.
Uncle Lee.
He was jumping up and down and really enjoying the moment. Now, was it like opposite field? Was it to more right?
Dead center.
Dead center?
Yep.
It's hard to tell watching it.
Yeah.
And I was trying to gauge by your swing, where it came off the bat. And
it was a direct dead center right move.
So the deepest part of the ballpark.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's impressive. Not only a grand slam, but you hit it to the deepest part of the ballpark. Well, I certainly enjoy watching you in both sports. Can't wait. Now, Bob Pa's on his way home in Joji, right?
They are coming in August,
yeah,
so they'll be up.
You're going to be playing any games still during that time?
I will unfortunately be done at that time.
Yeah.
Little break, but we have Skidmore camp coming up that first week, so that should be fun.
Now, your sister's getting into pitching. Are you like her pitching coach, or is she working with Jamie too? Or
she's been with me a little. I think she's been to so many games, so she can just pick up on it, and I think she's really learned to love it, because at first I think it was just kind of whatever, and I was kind of loving it, and I think she's starting to enjoy it and pick up on it and get the rhythm of it, so I think that's good for Granville.
Good. So you folks out there with the opposing teams who think you're going to be done with this girl in a couple years, bad news. You got another one coming. Another Bascom coming up through the Granville pitching pipeline here. And I saw she had a huge strikeout game the other night.
She had 12 the other night. That was pretty impressive.
So, I mean, again, I don't care what age level it is or who you're playing against. To strike out 12, you got to be throwing strikes. And
she's only 10, and she's really getting down on it.
Yeah, awesome. So another Bascom in the Granville pitching pipeline here. Well, Lauren, that's going to wrap it up. Thanks. I know probably high school kids and getting up in the morning on a summer vacation day is not the easiest thing in the world. So to come out here and take the time out of your schedule and join me, I appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
And you're welcome. And I'll be here next year at the softball games.
We'll see
in the
you
field.
around.
Oh yeah, I'll be around probably more than ever actually. But looking forward to it. So that's going to wrap it up here for the NYVTmedia Sports Show. Thanks again to Austin Crozier, our cameraman and producer, for help making the show happen, and to Lauren Bascom for joining me here this morning on a beautiful morning here in Granville. And of course, we'd also be remiss if we didn't thank our great sponsors, Greenwich Ford in Greenwich, New York, located at the traffic circle, the intersections of Route 40 and Route 29. Greenwich Ford, make the switch to Greenwich Ford. Thanks for joining me, everybody, for the NYVTmedia Sports Show. I'm Keith Harrington saying have a great day. So long.